The shocking story that rocked the nation. A week-long search for a missing 5-year-old girl in North Carolina ending in tragedy. Shania Davis found dead.
Just in tonight, we now know that a man accused of raping and killing her has been officially charged. Her mother, Antoinette Davis, was already charged with felony child abuse and human trafficking, standing accused of selling her daughter for sex. This appalling crime isn't just happening on the other side of the country, but right here in West Michigan.
24-hour News 8's Jessica Leffler is taking an in-depth look at the issue through the eyes of someone who lived it.
Melinda Jennings playing with her children, the snapshot of happiness, the kind of childhood she herself didn't have.
Because I know what it feels like to be laying in that bed crying and crying and having your own blood and everything else all over you, not knowing if somebody's ever going to come and help you.
Melinda grew up outside of Detroit, but her childhood was full of shame and secrets.
I was only a year old when the abuse started with me, and it was with my ex-stepfather.
She was also trafficked by her stepbrother. After they moved to Hesperia, he sold her for drugs. Her former stepfather was imprisoned when she was 13.
He was doing it for his own sick satisfaction, I believe.
Carmen Kucinich is a victims advocate with the FBI, handling cases on the west side of the state, calling sex trafficking a constant but often hidden threat.
It's not something where you're going to see juveniles being prostituted. You're not going to see them walking the streets. So the concern is, people don't think it's a problem maybe in Southwest Michigan. They don't realize it because they're not seeing it. But all of this is behind closed doors. These girls are being moved around, and it's happening all the time.
Carmen just worked with 3 different teenage victims from Holland, Lansing, and Newaygo. Though all were trafficked and found in other states, the FBI says that kind of movement makes it hard to pinpoint how common trafficking is. And the sex itself often happens under the cover of darkness, at rest stops, truck stops, behind shuttered windows in small towns, burbs, and cities, sometimes set up through online escort services. Becky McDonald is helping victims, too, through WAR, or Women at Risk International, a Grand Rapids-based nonprofit.
The difference is whether or not the woman is consenting and whether she's being forced, coerced in some psychological way that's still considered coercion.
McDonald adds selling people for sex against their will is a lucrative and expanding business.
And that's why trafficking is the fastest growing arm of organized crime. It is growing faster than guns and drugs because once you sell guns and drugs, they're gone. But when you sell a human being, you can sell them over and over and over and over again. And
McDonald is asking West Michigan to open its eyes that someone is being trafficked. A change in behavior, fear or depression, inability to leave or change a routine, signs of violence and excessive activity around a home, like lots of comings and goings.
People need to record what they see, write down the date, write down as much information as they can, and pass it on.
A safe house is used on both sides of the coin.
Also forcing the crime into the spotlight, a human trafficking task force made up of the FBI, Immigration and Customs Enforcement, and nonprofits. Groups like Project Hope, which is building a rehab shelter in Muskegon to house up to 6 girls, becoming only the 6th rescue home like it in the nation.
Every city has their area where the dark things happen, okay? Places where there's drug deals going on. Those types of places, it's prevalent.
Go ask Auntie if she can cut that for you.
Melinda has 3 children of her own now.
There we go, baby girl.
She thinks talking about her own experience may spare others the horror.
Lives. This is worse than any plague that is in America. And people don't even realize it. I mean, the only vaccine I can think of is more people stepping forward and letting these people know that we're not going to hide no more. We're not going to be ashamed of the fact that there was some predators that did some bad stuff.
Melinda refuses to dwell on her past, instead focusing on what she can do now for others.
And that is hope for people that have been through it.
Jessica Leffler, 24-hour News 8.
The FBI started Operation Cross Country. It's a program to identify and help victims.
If you would like to make a tip, call the Detroit FBI office. You can also call Silent Observer, or you can file a complaint online and find the FBI's website through our own at woodtv.com.